Well, hello there.
General Kenobi!
Hello there, my Jedi and Sith friends, my Mandalorians, my Megalorians, and welcome to another Star Wars video. It is I coming at you once again, your friend and your favourite galactic hostess, Star Wars Meg. And today we're going to be talking about one of my personal favourite characters. You guys know I'm a huge fan of Boba Fett. I'm a fan of all of the Fetts, to be honest. Jango, Boba, even Omega. And today we have something which honestly is very unexpected. A surprise to be sure, but a welcome one. The brand new Mandalorian visual guide has just canonized a crucial scene that is from a famous, beloved, unused Clone Wars arc. And this deleted scene, this unused arc, is something we spoke quite a bit about in the build up to the Book of Boba Fett. And today, Lucasfilm has just officially brought it back. So just for a moment, I want you to cast your minds back to the final episode, Chapter 7 of the Book of Boba Fett. Boba, the daimyo of Tatooine, has one final showdown with Cad Bane. In their brief duel, Bane initially overpowered Fett, knocking him to the ground and forcefully removing his helmet. As Bane prepared to fire upon Boba one last time, Fett used his Gaddafi stick, knocking Bane away, and in one final blow, Boba stabbed him in the chest. We don't know for certain if Cad Bane survived. The blinking on his chest plate suggests that is a possibility, but the entire duel was very symbolic. And when fans watched this episode, the entire time we were thinking about the deleted Clone Wars arc, where Boba and Cad Bane had faced off against each other years prior. The scene where Boba gets the dent in his helmet. A major problem with the way the rivalry is depicted in the Book of Boba Fett is that they suggest Boba and Cad Bane have this long backstory that dates back many years. And while that is part of the Clone Wars, and while we know that is true, the most important parts of their backstory were never shown on screen. As I said, they were part of a deleted 4-episode arc of the Clone Wars, better known as the Bounty Hunter arc. Now for years, these have remained unfinished, and so we assumed that for the most part, they didn't count. It's kind of been assumed that a showdown between the two characters had taken place, because Boba Fett does have the dent in his helmet, which was going to be explained in those episodes. But until the new visual guide, the shootout on Seralonis was not official Star Wars canon. But now, my friends, it is. Minus the part where Cad Bane dies. At the end of their shootout, Boba survives, but his helmet is shot off his head, but Cad Bane perishes. So there are some differences in the canon version, but I think we already knew this, because Cad Bane also appeared in the Bad Batch, and in the episode guide for the episode Bounty Lost, StarWars.com mentioned that Cad Bane has a metal plate in his head, and from this information at the time back in 2021, I think we started to connect the dots, and fans realized the duel he had with Boba Fett probably did take place, but we don't have confirmation like we do today. And I have to wonder if they mention this in the visual guide, because we're going to get a finished version in an upcoming animated show. If there are more Tales of spin-offs on the way, then this is certainly a possibility. Maybe this was a missed opportunity for Tales of the Underworld. But let's talk about these unfinished episodes. They were codenamed 5.22 to 5.25, and this story was going to depict Boba Fett and Cad Bane teaming up for a rescue mission on Tatooine, where Tusken Raiders had kidnapped a child. And this, according to Dave Filoni, was supposed to emphasize Boba and Cad Bane's relation to one another, because once upon a time, Cad Bane had known Boba's father, Jango Fett. The story would have been influenced by The Searchers, a movie which George Lucas is a very big fan of. Aura Singh, Sarah Pass, C21 Heisinger, Embo, Latsrasi, and Bosk were also going to be in it. So during the Untold Clone Wars panel at Celebration in 2015, we see the two bounty hunters being ambushed by Tuskens while camping on Tatooine. Seeing the Tuskens around them, Bane convinces Boba to get himself captured so they can locate the camp. The pair puts up a good fight against the Sand People, and during the ambush, Fett allows himself to be captured, with a tracking device linked to Cad Bane. Our next bit of information for this arc came in 2017 at Celebration in Orlando. Cad Bane and the other bounty hunters had ended an insurrection by Fett, which also involved Suji, a new character named Stim, and Serapas. And then came the famous confrontation, which we later found out was on a planet called Seralonis. The planet was actually reused in the Bad Batch's second season, and according to young Boba Fett actor Daniel Logan, he'd actually recorded lines for 7 episodes. And if that wasn't crazy enough, fast forward to Star Wars Celebration in Japan, just a year ago. A further animatic scene was unveiled during the 20th anniversary of Lucasfilm animation panel, and this showed us Boba Fett battling Anakin over Coruscant. The sequence began from an attack caused by Cad Bane, Todo, and Boba, where Anakin pursues Fett aboard a bark speeder. I think this would have been one of the most awesome action scenes. It's a big fight where we see Boba use a fiber cord whip and his wrist blaster, and Anakin uses his lightsaber to deflect the shots. And it's quite poetic, because further down the timeline we know that Anakin, as Darth Vader, hires Boba Fett, and to connect Boba to more characters, Mace Windu contacts Anakin to see if he knows who the assassins were, and he responds that he didn't. But I suppose the most interesting part of all of this is that after all of these years, Lucasfilm is not letting go of some of these earlier concepts. Like I say, they reference them in the Bad Batch, and now in the Mandalorian visual guide. With Lucasfilm slated to ramp up the animated side of the franchise, especially going into next year, I wouldn't be surprised if some of these unfinished arcs are repurposed. So just before we move on, I also want to acknowledge another deleted Boba Fett scene, which I've wanted to see in its entirety for years, and that's the one from The Mandalorian Season 2. Boba Fett and Fennec Shand go to Navarro, and they're greeted by Greef Karga himself, the Magistrate. And one of the most interesting things about this meeting is that Greef Karga is the former head of the Bounty Hunters Guild. A joke that fans like to make is that immediately, Greef would start complaining about unpaid guild dues and all of the paperwork that Boba's survival and return would have created. Of course, Boba is not a bounty hunter anymore at this point, but it's just a bit of fun food for thought. Now unfortunately, Carl Weathers is no longer with us. We're never going to see Greef again, so hopefully at some point, Lucasfilm releases this scene. And so now my friends, I want to talk about some other really awesome reveals from this book. The Mandalorian visual guide gives us the homeworld of Carson Tava, and it really surprised me because this is a pull from the expanded universe. Did you know he's from the planet of Torolis? This is part of Bothan space. The planet first appears in 2002's Star Wars role-playing rulebook, but it was also part of the Essential Atlas in 2009. Yet another massive homeworld reveal is that of Miggs Mayfeld. He's from the planet of Wustry, the homeworld of the Wustroid species. Interestingly enough, this planet is also from Star Wars Legends. This one we do know a bit more about. It comes from Timothy Zahn's The Last Command, the final book of the original Thrawn trilogy. Wustry was almost entirely covered by oceans. In the Old Republic, Wustry possessed an array of databases. It was second only to Coruscant, and during the Clone Wars, it was firmly separatist. During the New Republic, it was captured by Thrawn. Is Dave Filoni intending to bring this planet to screen? Maybe in his movie? Maybe in some of the other New Republic spin-offs that have been rumored? Again, a very interesting pick that I did not see coming. It's another example of Lucasfilm bringing more Legends elements into canon. I brought this up the other week with Bimsari, which is part of Star Tours by the way. But those are some cool new reveals from the Mandalorian visual guide, my friends. The biggest one of course being the canonization of Boba Fett against Cad Bane on the planet of Seralonis. What do you think? Share your thoughts in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed this one, please be sure to give me a big fat thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, and may the Force be with you, always.